September 9th, 2017. Hurricane Irma is on its way, about a Category 3 or 4 when it hits here. With the forecast winds of 130 miles an hour, it's foolish to think that your boat is going to survive. We decided to spend about 2 hours trying to tie the boat down, make it a little more secure, on the bet that perhaps the storm wouldn't be quite as serious. But it's clear that you need to spend your time protecting your most valuable asset, which has got to be where you live, not what you float on. The basic idea on your boat should be to remove anything that could catch the wind. So an obvious choice is your mainsail and any other sail that you might have up. Our brand new Bimini hadn't been put on the boat yet. It was still at home, so that wasn't an issue. Things like fenders and cushions you definitely want to have off the boat. The tires are blocked front and rear, all 4 of them. We pulled the halyards out of the way so that they wouldn't bang so much. I'm not in favor of this type of strap. I'm afraid that it'll start blowing in the wind and that big heavy metal thing could do some damage. There are 7 cleats on HideAway, and all 7 of them had double lines running down to mobile home anchors that were in the ground. Just as we were leaving, I realized I forgot to put the tongue extender back in. So we stopped the car, I ran back, pulled the boat, slipped it in, and we took off. The storm, after all, was bearing down on us. We needed to get home and work on the house. Now, the insurance people will tell you that you need to leave all the things that belong to the boat on your boat, because if you don't, your homeowner's insurance may not cover it. The other thing they tell us to do is take photos of everything. So I started with the boat and took photos of everything you see here, plus some. I photographed but left on board the documentation, the licensing and all that type of stuff. ID and that type of thing was left on board with the idea that should the worst happen, perhaps they would be able to track me down through my registrations and other things that were on there. That's good advice. Always be prepared, especially when you're in a situation that you may not come out of. Damage was really light compared to what we thought it was going to be. The storm track changed. It weakened from a 3 to a 1. Lots of trees down. Lots and lots of trees down. We had a lot at home that way too, but damage around the club was pretty light. The worst was probably this boat, and that turned out to be a first responder who was deployed during all this. Some people went to great extent to protect their boat. Probably can't see it, but there's a line that runs off the stern of this boat all the way across the channel, blocking the channel to the mangroves there. You shouldn't be doing that kind of thing. Well, once your boat is decommissioned, or rather prepared for a hurricane, it's quite a job to bring it back into sailing trim. So we decided to leave the boat tied down and stripped off for a couple of months until the hurricane season passed. On our first sailing adventure, after several hours of work getting the boat ready, I was pulling it around the parking lot there, and something just felt funny. I couldn't figure out what it was, didn't really think about it too much. Started my long S-turn to try to back into the boat ramp there. Found I had to make an adjustment after the boat was partially down the ramp. I was watching in my rearview mirror when I heard a clank, and to my horror, I saw my boat bouncing down the ramp without its being attached to the trick-up. Tongue extender was still on the truck, laying on the pavement. The boat crashed down into the concrete wall. Fortunately, and it was very lucky, we did not have any damage to the boat at all. We did leave our mark on the world. We made a nice long red streak with the light rubbing off, and the tires making marks like you would see at a racetrack. We were very fortunate. Remember that at our last moment before we left the boat, I had stopped and ran back and put the tongue extender back into the trailer. I forgot to put the boat back on when we decided to finally launch. So the only real risk we had then was after the storms had passed, and our own forgetfulness very nearly cost us the boat. We were extremely lucky. The eye passed about 30 miles to the east of us. The storm had weakened. Wasn't predicted to do that, but it did, thank goodness. The storm weakened. We had a lot of damage to trees and that type of thing. But the boat was fine. The house was fine. We just can't believe how lucky we were. However, next time we run into something like this, I think we're going to leave.